Now welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Horse Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
We have some Ahsoka news.
Okay.
Yes, we've actually gotten some info from Eman Esfandi, who plays Ezra Bridger in the Ahsoka series.
And did a great job at it too.
Yeah, it was really a shame that he couldn't do any press promotions because the strike is still ongoing. So we didn't get to actually hear from him in real time to how his character's being received.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah. Not to mention, all the work he's done putting into that character. Though he did post a little bit on social media, but he didn't mention the show specifically, but it was kind of clearly about the show. Because he doesn't want to be in trouble with the guild, I suppose.
Sure.
But the official Star Wars social media account has some previously recorded small interview with him, where they shared that now in a video that they published this week. Eman said, "I take Ezra Bridger as a real person. He is so smart and so gifted. He's grown into himself a lot more. He's become a much stronger Jedi, and even more so, he's become more of a family member amongst his team and crew of rebels. Because also I already felt so connected to Ezra and felt like he was there whenever I needed him. I just felt that inspiration. But yeah, Ezra, young kid with a lot of heart."
Yeah, it describes him quite well.
It really does.
He's older now. He's almost 30 in this show.
That's so crazy to think on. Sorry.
I know. It is, but it's true. He's not a kid anymore in the show.
Yeah, he's as old as Luke and Leia are.
Yeah, they're born on basically the same day.
Mm-hmm. Literally, one day
Empire
apart or something.
Day, yeah, that's when Ezra was born, but...
But I think he did a fantastic job. He really embodied Ezra. I wasn't sure how they were going to manage to put him on the screen, but everything about it seemed perfect.
That was one of the things that worked really well in Ahsoka, is I thought they perfectly cast him.
Mm-hmm.
That felt like Ezra, even after 10 years, essentially.
Exactly. Disney also put out a little Dave Filoni video where he talked about his own contributions to the Star Wars galaxy.
Dave talked about his contributions?
Yes.
Okay.
He said, "We all bring a little bit to Star Wars of what we like, and we hope it fits into the galaxy. George Lucas created this galaxy. He created these dynamics, Jedi, Sith, all these things I play with, and I've been fortunate that he taught me a lot of things. I'm always doing my best to follow what he taught me, and my nature comes into it. So you get space whales and wolves, That's all part of it."
You get a lot of wolves.
A lot of wolves. Wolves where there shouldn't be wolves?
Maybe. Things named after wolves and...
Yes, like Shin and Balin.
Yeah.
Named after wolves.
Commander Wolf.
It is interesting. I mean, he kind of brings up an interesting point. I mean, George created the galaxy, he created the dynamics, but now when these new directors and writers are creating their, piece of Star Wars, they take what they like and they hope it fits into the galaxy.
Well, you should do a little more than hope. You should just make it fit. I don't think it's that hard. Everybody makes it sound like it's such a challenging thing, but watch the movies, try to grasp the concepts, and go with it.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. Honestly, I don't think it's that hard to do Star Wars.
I mean, the galaxy is a big place, so I feel like if you want to, create your own thing, your own mark within it, there's room for that.
Well, yeah, there's a whole timeline, there's a whole galaxy, and now there's 2 galaxies, so there's plenty of room to do something. You just, for me, you have to just kind of keep with those core themes. You have to keep with what makes something Star Wars.
So if it doesn't fit into George Lucas's galaxy, it might fit into Dave Filoni's.
He made his own galaxy in Sar Wars. I mean,
My galaxy, my rules, George.
But no, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's that hard. It's hard and it's not hard at the same time. I know that's contradictory, but I don't think it's... If you really look what Lucas was trying to say, it's really kind of basic stuff, right? Be good to other people. Don't be overly selfish.
Yeah, the good versus evil.
Yeah.
The id versus the ego.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that complicated.
Speaking of interesting things with the galaxy, I did more research on the Purge of Mandalore and how that relates into the Ahsoka series. Alright, from collecting the data given to us in Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, there's some interesting points along the way that I feel like they could have leaned into in Ahsoka. The Purge of Mandalore, the Night of the Thousand Tears, that was Operation Cinder.
Do we know that for sure?
Yes.
How do we know that for sure?
Time frame, and I think Hu Yang even kind of puts it into perspective.
Well, they mentioned towards the end of the war. I just don't know if that was confirmed, but it seems to be during
It's
that.
totally Operation Cinder.
Okay.
Right, and this is the time when Palpatine kind of took his revenge on the galaxy once it defeated him. I mean, he sent people like his forces, remainder, to go and destroy Naboo.
Yeah, and other worlds as well.
Other worlds,
a lot of worlds.
I mean, Naboo might have been partly to cover some of his secrets if he had any there, but he attacked a whole bunch of places.
Yeah.
This explains, partially, why the New Republic couldn't help Mandalore. New Republic is fledgling at this time, remember. They just finished mopping up the what they think is the most of the Empire.
Yeah.
Now, multiple worlds are getting attacked. They couldn't, how much could they spend to help every place when they're already depleted themselves after a war trying to build strength again?
Yeah. Especially when you reduce your military budget. Like, according to Aftermath, I don't know that that's been brought up anywhere else, but in Aftermath, Mon Mothma slashes the military by 90%. So, who knows how canon that is or is not right now?
Probably not at all.
Probably
we
not
ignore
at all.
Stuff like
yeah.
that. So we have a barely functioning, fledgling government. This event, you could even say, the Purge of Mandalore, this is more destructive than Order 66. This is more destructive than blowing up the Death Star.
Well, yeah, it's
millions upon millions of lives.
Yeah, it's a whole planet.
This is Alderaan type.
Yeah.
Disaster.
Not quite Hosnian Prime. That was supposedly like 1 trillion people on that planet. So.
Well, not to mention that was.
That's in the visual dictionary.
Yes, Bo-Katan was blamed for this whole thing. Remember that? That was from just Mandalorian. Was she really at fault? No. I think whether she gave the Darksaber to Gideon or not, this was going to happen. This was planned by Palpatine.
That's a hard to put the fault on her for taking the Darksaber. That's what the armor kind of says in the Book of Boba Fett.
I'm curious if their creed about their lore of the Darksaber was factually sound or not, or if it was really just a superstition.
Well, it's probably more. It's about the story. It is more superstition than anything else. That's the whole line from The Mandalorian about the story. It's like believing in it is more powerful than if it actually has power or not, essentially.
Right. And moving into the Sabine part of the story, her entire family died in the Purge.
I feel like that was just an afterthought in the show. That was so weird how that was just kind of like, we heard it like referenced twice and it doesn't.
Her parents, her brother, they were killed.
Yeah, to me that was a really weird thing to do in that show because it just doesn't feel like Sabine is affected by that. It just feels like
she supposedly blames Ahsoka for not listening to her fears for Mandalore and kind of being with Ahsoka instead of being where she thinks she needed to be to protect her family.
It's just a weird thing to put in there.
Right. So, we're supposed to believe then that the Purge of Mandalore, the Night of 1,000 Tears, losing her family, every Mandalorian she knows, like in one fell swoop, is what makes her desperate beyond measure to save Ezra. Part of the only family she has left now. But the show didn't do a good job conveying that.
It didn't convey that at all.
Like, you never even hear from Sabine about what happened. We're hearing other people going, oh yeah, Night of 1,000 Tears. Oh yeah, this is what happened to Sabine's family. This is why the two of them aren't separated.
Yeah, it's brought up on like 2 occasions about how her family died on Mandalore, but it doesn't delve into that at all. And if you haven't seen Rebels, you don't even have any clue what her family or who they are or anything like that.
I feel like this was one of the show's big misses the more I think about it. Like, why couldn't we have a flashback to their falling out? Why couldn't we have an emotionally charged Sabine screaming at Ahsoka for not believing her and that she just lost her entire family? Why couldn't we have that?
Something. You needed to convey that somehow because it never, again, it gets mentioned, but you don't even see like Sabine's feelings towards it at all.
I mean, is this why we get such a emotionless zombie version of Sabine at the beginning? Yeah, I don't really want to go to the opening of the art thing. Yeah, I'm just here in my tower with my cats. She's like a moody
teenager, yeah.
Right, we're getting the wrong impression that she's a moody teenager when she's actually suffering from the death of her family and unresolved emotional feelings here.
Yeah, but the show didn't really convey that at all.
No. Sabine's character would have improved tremendously had we gotten some of that information at the beginning instead of filtering it throughout the season.
Yeah, or just nix that whole idea and just go with the whole I'm looking for Ezra and focus more on that.
Like, even when Ahsoka and Hu Yang are talking, she's like, I don't know why Sabine did what she did. Well, she should know why. Because this is apparently part of the reason they had a falling out is because of Mandalore. She should understand, this is my family. My family is gone. And now I'm failing Ezra? The only family I have left now. My like, brother here, Ezra.
Well, she's got Hera and Chopper and Zeb. And,
right, but the only one that she can still save. Because, she's, in her mind, she has failed her family, most likely.
No, I
would imagine that's what she's thinking. I failed my family. I didn't protect my family. The only one she can now save is him.
Yeah, I can step back and see what the show is trying to imply. It just doesn't do a very, as we've said, it doesn't do a very good job of conveying that.
I feel almost cheated, like in hindsight now, like knowing all this information, thinking about this information and going, why didn't they have this actress? Why didn't they delve into this story at all for her? Instead, we were just like, she's a moody teenager throughout like the whole thing.
It calls into question what Filoni said about how he likes to keep the action going, like that he likes to cut things. I mean, maybe he's a fantastic writer that doesn't realize he edits him. He destroys himself in the edit, essentially. I don't know. The way this is just missed in the show, like that's bad writing. A lot of things, you step back and look, that's just not bad writing. It's the job of the writer to convey what is going on in the story, right? Obviously. And I feel like there are many things you can look at and go, well, we didn't really even understand that or know about that.
I mean, wouldn't it have been more interesting parts of her story to maybe have Hu Yang mention that part of the reason she's doing so bad in her Jedi training is because of this, like, block that she's suffering? This emotional stint that she's given herself? This almost dark side rage that she could fall into?
Yeah, it should have been established pretty early on, I think. You really want to, when you're coming out of the gate, you want to let your audience know why the characters are the way they are.
Just like her finding Ezra and fighting alongside Ahsoka, they could have given us some real solid, like, clues when you're watching the show that this is going to open her back up to the Force, that she's healed in a way, that now she feels like, maybe she can use the Force more effectively now. But they didn't give us any of that, so everyone is looking at this going, well, Sabine's just a moody teenager, now she's a Jedi, I guess?
Yeah, it's made worse by the fact that if you've seen Rebels, like, that's not who she is. So you go into this, like, why is she so different now? What happened? And it's like...
And if they would have leaned into the loss of her entire family and her blaming Ahsoka, possibly, for not being able to save them, would have helped explain things and giving us some more depth to the story.
Yeah, they missed. It's a swing and a miss in a lot of areas.
Mm-hmm. I'm sad that I'm pining for what could have been.
Well, that's why I'm writing my own version. It's going to be quite a bit different.
I can only imagine, for now.
Yes. Well, there are parts up that you haven't watched, but that's okay.
I'm busy. Sorry.
You are busy. I give you a pass. But for now, that's all we get through this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and tell us what you think. Did Ahsoka just miss some of these emotional beats? Whatever the case may be, leave your comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.